Right now, we're on our way to the house of our stars, two twins, Mary and Margaret, and we're gonna do the first 3 scenes, shoot the first 3 scenes, and another scene that I'm in charge of, which occurs later in the movie.
Butterflies?
A little, yeah. I'm just kind of, right now, for the past week or so, I've been taking things as they come, though. I haven't really been thinking ahead. I just want to, you know, respond in the now and not psych myself out about things or anything.
Well, I read Rick's, I guess I took his course because I read his book. After I saw the website, I read his book, and he's just a guy who goes out and does it. You know, it's not a lot of wishing he could make a film. You know, he has an idea, and he goes out, he gets the people together, and he makes a film. He does it, and he does it in 10 days. And it was just so inspiring to me that someone, you know, basically his whole life has lived this way, you know, and it sparked something in me. It's like, yeah, you know, I have that. I share that passion.
I kind of believe in people being able to do something about their dreams and make them come true if they take kind of a more direct, less fearful approach. My book, Feature Filmmaking at Used Car Prices, is about saying you can be a film director if that's what you want. Now, when I think of film directors, I think of egotistical kind of directors with a monocle and a whip or something, the classic auteur type of guy. But this kind of hands it to the everyday people. And I kind of feel like I'm proving here that anybody can be a film director.
So I asked Rick some questions about making the film and planning for things for today, which is our first day. And Rick said, well, it really doesn't matter if we plan anything because we don't know what's going to happen. And when he said that, I was okay with that because I really feel like it's in the moment. I mean, there's a little part of me that was sort of scared. I mean, I wasn't really feeling like I needed to be controlled, but I felt that, okay, this is really going to be kind of an adventure in the moment type of thing, and so it wasn't, I don't know, didn't upset me, or I don't know what to say other than that. So the next question is, how are we all going to fit into this little house?
A lot of us were standing around on the street corner last night trying to decide if any of us had any idea what to expect, and we decided we didn't have any idea. So my expectations for this morning are just to watch and learn and listen.
I tried, having tried once before on making a film and not really having it work out at all, not even getting really to day one. I think it's a little less scary when you have 9 other people doing it with you, and I think that's basically why I'm here, because it's a scary idea to take this whole thing on yourself, and that was really what I was going to do. I was going to do everything, and now it's somewhat of a safety net, but I mean, there's nothing safe about this at all. Shooting a whole film in 4 days, editing in 6 is just unbelievable, and my hope is that after having done it here, even though it's with you know, quite a few other people, that'll give me the confidence of saying, you know, I did this. And yet still at the same time, it didn't take me to force myself all the way here. You know, I applied, I got in, I paid the money, I got on a plane, and I'm here. And now that I'm here, I got to shoot it. You know, the details are taken care of.
Well, I got involved in the project through another filmmaker in San Francisco who I was auditioning for. He said, had you heard of this fellow Rick Schmidt over in the East Bay? He's making a film. You might be right for it. We were talking about one of the characters, and I said, great, I'll go meet him. I went and met him. I did not get a description of how this was going to be shot. He gave me an idea of the background of the characters and the scenes, but didn't tell me that it wasn't going to be, you know, that there'll be pretty much no script, or that there'll be 10 different directors or any of that. And I auditioned with him in, I think it was the end of May or beginning of June, and he said it will be going off sometime in the first couple of weeks of August, and did not hear back from him until Sunday.
In terms of working with Rick, I'm excited about it. I heard about it from a friend of mine, and then I read his book, and I felt, after reading it and seeing what he's all about, I was excited to do this, and working with 11 directors and everything is something that or 10 directors, something like this, a bunch of guys down there I've never done before, so I'm really, really excited to see what's going to happen here.
Every shot, you'll write down the scene number, what take it is. That means whether you print it or not. So if the director afterwards says, "Oh, we love it, that's the one we want," then you'd put a little check mark there. In this case, since we're only shooting 2-to-1 ratio, you're going to print everything, you're going to use everything that you're shooting.
Right. How can we make a feature film? And they give you quizzical looks. I said, I think there's only, I try to have them tell me how to do it. I said, we have no actors, no location, no script, no time, and no money. And you're all sitting around here, how are we going to make a feature film? And finally somebody said, well, these things, these real life stories maybe. I say, okay, well, how do we use them? And somebody would say, well, there are 15 of them. If they reach 5 minutes long, that'd be 75 minutes. I say, great. Who's going to act in them? And they'd all look kind of weird again, and they'd go, I guess we have to.
Okay, that was a 1K tone of -8 dB on the Naga modulometer. This is sound roll number 7. Features Workshop, The Twins. 7.5 IPS, time code 30 frames, center track, sound roll 7.
Okay, quiet please, roll sound. Anybody that, if you can make eye contact with them, they can make eye contact with you, so step this way so they don't see you.
Roll, Jack. Slate it. Sound has speed.
Okay, 1A. Roll. Kitchen table scene. Roll camera.
Okay, I'm rolling.
Marker.
Do you think I didn't see you holding that? I won't even tell you where you were hiding that little piece.
You want something to drink? Yeah. Get started? Okay. Get me something to drink. All right. And I'm gonna go check on the dog. Okay.
My original experience with film was when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my mother was probably away, and my father had let me stay up and watch TV with him, and he was sitting up in a chair and I was sitting on the floor in front of him, and we were watching the original Bonnie and Clyde. And what happened was that at the pivotal point, as any good father should do, I guess, is that he reached around and grabbed my eyes so that I couldn't see the whole massacre shoot-up scene from Bonnie and Clyde. And since then, and I tried to wiggle free and to see it, obviously, and I couldn't. And since then, I've kind of been making films in my mind. And when I did see the actual film a few years later, it was nothing compared to what I had in my brain. So the massacre wasn't half as bad, the actual thing. So that's what I wrote to Rick, and he wrote back and asked me to join, and that's how I got here today.
Let's wait. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, can you see Margaret here?
Okay.
The far one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if this is...
I mean, you don't have to get all of her.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just tilted it. Here you
Okay.
go. Now look at that.
Morgan has listed.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
That's great. You're a
Good.
genius.
I just gotta say something like,
Will you do this?
I do. No, that's I will.
Well, I wanted to say, do this for us. Like, I don't, she doesn't need to say I do, but I do is what you say, you know, when you get married. So
I get that.
it doesn't have to go with what she's asking her. Because in her mind, in Mary's mind, this is a big commitment. Yes.
How about, don't you want to do this for us? And then she says, I do.
That's perfect. How about Margaret? I want Margaret to say, don't you want to do this for us? And then Mary will say, okay, okay, stop babbling, I do.
Come on, you know. Come on, just do it for us. All right. I do. All right.
Well, it was a dream come true. I was very nervous, but Brad Marshland was a huge help to me, and Gary Roman, the cinematographer. And in the beginning I was incredibly nervous, and I was sort of married to this dialogue that I had written back in July, and it was hard for me to kind of let go of the fact that the twins are not professional actresses or actors. So it's so much better that they were not trying to memorize the actual dialogue, but to speak as if they were naturally speaking to each other.
After 15,000 miles, the odometers are off by 300.
And the further we got into it, the more confidence I got, and Rick Schmidt is incredibly nurturing and gave me more confidence as I went on, and it's a great opportunity, it's a great experience, and I learned a lot, and everybody's been a big help.
Well, basically I have a structuralist point of view toward making films. I've been sort of locked in the editing rooms year in, year out, trying to make other films work. So because I paid such a high price for those mistakes, I tend to look for the building blocks that are going to create a beginning, middle, and end for these films. That's kind of what my best ability is during the shoot, is trying to identify those building blocks and see what's missing.
I have a scene coming up here, and I'm going to be working with some people who haven't acted before, which I don't mind because I remember when that was me. So I like to work with people who have never done anything before, just the way I like to work with people who have done stuff before, because you give and take and you help each other out. And I'm looking forward to seeing Rick guide us through everything. And I have to do this 5-minute thing right now. It's like, it's a long 5 minutes is a long time. Usually it seems like, a couple seconds cut. This is 5 minutes, so getting ready.
When you're done with your story, you turn to one of them and say, what do you want to do tonight? And that starts them off.
One can have an opinion, the other can have that sort of gets the ball bouncing.
It's like, oh, it's just all these other things that are going on. I'm like, okay, wait a second. I don't know. All of a sudden I really don't know who this person is. And this is like after 5 months of dating already. So she says, okay, I'm living with my father, whatever, all this stuff. And then I end up finding out that she's not living with her father. I don't know how old she is. And I don't know how it happened, but we ended up living together, and it kind of jumped from me not knowing who this girl was to us living together, and then once we lived together, I started learning all these other things that I should have learned before she actually moved in.
What were your feelings after the first day on set?
Pretty lost, pretty confused, a little bit bent, to be honest with you. The biggest problem was that I think we came in with such a lack of structure that it was impossible to really know what we were doing, what direction we were going.
I've had a lot of film experience. I work on film crews as a script supervisor, and I've done a little bit of directing in the more traditional mode. But I was really attracted to this model of filmmaking because I thought it had a lot of potential for kind of opening up the whole film genre. I mean, it also opens up accessibility to people, because it says that, people can create something of value together.
All this filmmaking on the fly really has a lot of intelligence and spontaneity, and to get a script up to that takes a lot of work. So it seems like you need 2 or 3 weeks to really get the actor in the mode and get the crew behind those shots.
So this is one of the little pitfalls of a spontaneous event. When you're making films, sometimes you have garbage trucks in the background, and either you shoot through them or you stick another microphone outside and get them wild, and then they can lay that in as a track, or you wait till they go away. In the case of leaf blowers, you pay them off.
Okay, what's happening is that we felt yesterday a little bit upset about what's been going on, and it just seemed kind of dead to us. And we also didn't feel like there was much substance coming out in this process, which kind of surprised us. And some of us are worried. Some people are nervous. So what we decided to do was have a meeting last night. And we kind of identified some of the areas that we thought were lacking in this process. And we decided to take some action and take more initiative. And so today, several of us have been having little meetings running around and actually deciding and bringing Rick in on it and saying, hey, this is what we're doing, and we want to take this step and we want to make this move, and this is the direction we're taking this movie in, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Say that again.
that each of them gives the other a sense of individuality, of being a separate person.
But they're conflicted.
That they don't get.
They're conflicted because they obviously do as much as possible to look alike and play up this whole like we're a completely identical image. They don't dress different.
Because they have enough individually from each other. They get it from each other. They get that difference. That's a beautiful point.
Okay, well,
There's
how
an
do we
exhibition
show that?
about
How do we show that?
about that. Because they haven't had a fight over a guy. But they fought over the other's poor judgment of a guy.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to imagine them fighting over a guy.
Right.
Because they just.
Give me the camera.
No, I wouldn't do that to you. I'm the best friend, let alone.
No.
We're doing the sound.
I did sound yet.
No, they can really get into it. They
She gets to do the board, she goes to go find
Roll
any
cameras up, right?
But you guys can say
Well, and that's what, okay,
course, that's
everybody,
what
we need it quiet completely because they're gonna check the sound of the dolly.
Collaborating with other people is different for me. I'm used to writing my own stuff, casting it myself, and then working with other people to get the picture and the sound and stuff like that, but a whole story from 10 different people is difficult. This is not what we started off with. It's gone in 50 million different directions, and we're all just running along, and we don't know what we're going to end up with.
So we can just. Why don't you get another camera angle and deal with that? Maybe get over closer to her side again, or someplace to cut from here.
We can take that up from here because we had the rest of the shot staged, and then just put some cutaways in between to bridge the.
Okay, so is it a wide shot from here that you got here? Why don't you go in closer to her right through the tunnel here?
All right, here we go. Quiet, please. Roll sound.
Speed.
Camera. Marker. And
Action. Okay, you hear Craig? Look over to the door. Craig, come in.
You're not ready yet.
No, I'm ready for you.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Just figured you'd be ready by now.
No,
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah.
Alright, let's do it. We gotta get rid of some of this stuff in here. No, you like these things. I can't believe that.
No. I thought you liked them, that's why I was
You thought I liked them?
Yes.
I could have sworn it was just you that was picking them out, but I'm a little I guess I'm confused. I really thought that you needed to have I hate those things.
Good, I'm glad. Well, I do too. So we don't need to use them anymore.
You have to trust the 10 other people and their ideas mixing with your ideas. You have to let everything go that you know about the regular filmmaking process and take this and let yourself go. You just have to let it go.
Right, and here we're taking a really extreme case of showing two people with the same DNA who are nevertheless extremely unique individuals, but the only way each of them feels that is from the other because they look alike so from the outside that no one else gives them that feeling.
Maybe it's a simple way to show it. There's nothing more ideal as narcissistic self-love.
Okay, what's the simple?
Simple way to show it. Talk it, the two twins talking. One goes, no, you couldn't tell the difference. Nobody can tell the difference.
Yeah,
I
okay.
can. You know?
Ah.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so
There.
twins.
All right,
I'm
saying. As a cartoonist, I'm used to making all these decisions by myself, the lighting, the directing, the characters, the actors, all down on pen and pencil. And when you're in a room with all those people, my gosh, the noise is like a kaleidoscope, and I was getting such a headache in there, I just finally had to leave. I realized I work a lot better by myself, which is going to maybe make it harder in the future, but I'll come up with something good.
How do you decide on your participants, Rick?
Oh, that's a good one. I guess mostly on what I call the school of hard knocks. I mean, I say, in the application, I say list your background, college, work, or occupation, or the School of Hard Knocks, and I kind of read beyond the credentials because I really don't care about that. I get a little perking of some kind of human energy there that's ready to just sort of jump in and be part of something like this without a map or without a parachute.
That's a question of filmmaking, you know? You know? But what happens to Juliette Binoche after she drives away? Does she and Kip ever get together?
The scene.
It just won't move because the rest of the family's there. And for me, it's like,
It's like you can shoot that scene, get the four together, do it the way you said.
it's like I can't.
Do it the way he said, and do it the way each of these persons said, and have 5 different things to pick from in the editing room.
I was lost, I have to admit. When I came in with fairly low expectations because the whole process of developing storyline seemed to me to be chaotic and disorganized. We were communicating by email, which is the worst. Maybe good for leaving somebody messages and letting them know where you're going to be and updating memos. But as far as organizing a story and collaborating on a screenplay, it didn't seem like it was a very good way to do it. People would respond 4 days later, etc. So we basically came in without really too much of a clue of what we were doing. And yesterday didn't do much to ease any of my anxieties about that. So it seemed like we were creating this these twins that switch roles, and why were we doing that?
Okay, open the door and close it. Okay, stop. Dolly. Craig, hi, you know she's coming in. Down with the paper. Hey, honey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Let me tell you about my day today. Had the worst day. You know, my client Irene today just made me so mad. She's done this a couple
Okay, you
times.
want to lay down in bed completely because you're in the mood for some affection and you want to tell him everything. You really want to get intimate with him. Okay.
Let me tell you about my client Irene. She is just today I styled her hair.
Yeah, you were just talking about Irene, and that she was doing some things. She was leaning, and some things.
Leaning.
That's what you're
She was
talking
leaning.
about.
What is she leaning on? I'm cutting hair. What could she possibly be leaning on?
I heard what you were saying.
Not paying any attention to me at all.
The process is both liberating and confining. It's liberating in the sense that you get to change the script in ways you cannot do in a strict screenplay or a shooting script in a traditional sense. But where it's confining is, God help the person who gets the last day, who gets to direct on the last day, because all his preconceived notions, all his ideas about character, and all his ideas about plot and construct are going to be completely destroyed by the work of those who have come before him. So, I mean, I came in on the second day, and I've completely had to change mine. I'm glad I didn't go through the bother of writing anything structured prior to coming, because it would have been a complete waste of time.
This collective type of filmmaking, I think one effect it will have will weed out the weak at heart. I think everyone's gotten an idea of what it takes, even at this level, to put something together. And you know, I think some people might have a different idea a more romantic idea of how films are made, and I think that those folks will find another profession.
I kind of wish we had a week or so or a couple days to meet physically beforehand to get ideas across. With that said, though, I realize now, this is our third day shooting, that the way you work this, and it's a hard concept to understand, because you think, well, before you ever do a film, you write a script. And, you know, you have these ideas and you write dialogue and everything's written, you know, 120 pages, 2 hours, you have it. So it was very difficult for me to think almost backwards, like go to this project with some concepts, but nothing set in stone, and you don't have a script, and just dive right in and film what you feel.
Can you keep your hands on this thing at all?
I do feel like I could be just washed right out of this apartment, which is our set today, with these bubbling ideas. I mean, now it's set loose. It's totally perpetual motion. There's a director in there. One of the participants is working with 2 actors. The 2 male lead actors, the grips are huddling around, lights are being thrown up, the camera's being set up, the sound people are ready, and I'm in here talking to you. It's just, and they know what the scene is. They know how it fits in the story that they've seen developed over the first 2 days. Whereas 2 days ago, no one knew anything about any scene or what the story was about. We've been hashing it out over email, and it just couldn't quite come together. And during that pre-production time, it was my job to basically tell them, I don't know anything, and yet not lose them, not lose their interest level.
Okay, no, I'm just.
There's a possibility of something else, so let me.
Well, I want to know whether he should get in the changing bag and put on a full load if it's going to be something long.
He ought to put on a full load. Okay. Unless, wait, what is he going to 2 minutes? He's going to 2 minute reel thing?
Yeah.
Let me think.
Gary, before you
2 minutes is a little risky.
Hang on just a second.
2 minutes is risky in anything, yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
Go for it.
Because it's a big scene. It's probably the biggest scene.
Yeah, well, not all this stuff you get hit. I mean, most of us dream of me. Yeah, I always want to be someone just like me. Hell, I'll settle for the same taste in music or the same taste in beer.
That's him.
Yeah, I can say that.
Okay.
I mean, they have a face in common and a body. I mean,
Now, your points get a little unclear to me. I mean, I'm starting off, but I'm pissed off. But it pisses me off, you know. I mean, because it's so close. But I don't think they really need me. Is the point that you're trying to get, right?
Essentially, I mean, more, and I want you to almost kind of like be wondering about what it would be like, you know. That's sort of what this is.
Yeah, see, that's from a character standpoint. I think that I would not want to have anyone like me.
What if we just shut the rest of the mag? Let Chance tell us where the scene ends, and then we can pick from what happens in the editing room. We don't even really have to. We can have the sound fade off as it dissolves happening. If that's a possibility. It doesn't have to be cut on a. Most conversations wouldn't be cut.
You just fade out wherever you want to.
Yeah, well,
but let him take
the sound too. Maybe the sound can bleed over into the next dissolve.
Yeah, if you're doing
Let these guys feed off it. Let them run with it a little bit here. They seem to want to do it.
Run with this whole thing. Shoot the whole mag, if that's okay. Does that sound good?
Yeah, run it out.
They have exactly what I want. They do.
Jesus.
If I could have that kind of closeness, that would.
Bingo,
that would be it.
Right there. You don't get it. You don't get this. You don't understand this, do you? You're not going to get it. You're not going to have what they have. So you need to understand that. For you to want that is impossible. You can't.
No, bullshit.
Bullshit.
Okay,
bullshit.
so that I just don't have
You can't have it.
I have no dreams then, right? I'm supposed to just not want.
No, you
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to win the lotto. Big fucking deal.
Then
You have to be
play the
crying
lotto.
about it.
Then every day, get $1 and go play the lotto. What's wrong with that? So I'm just supposed to say,
I
okay,
do.
I'll never be close to anyone, so just fuck it. Just give up then.
I think the biggest challenge has been usually when you work on a film, you get used to working with one director. So the biggest challenge for me has been getting used to working with each director during each scene. It's like you're starting over again. It's like you're starting, you know, the slate is clean and you just have to build that relationship right there, and then maybe you'll see that person again down the road, but chances are you won't. So it's been hard. It's like you're building new each scene as opposed to feeling comfortable with that one person.
Let's just put a frame on it for a sec. It's way out of control in a good way. In other words, there's kind of an energy that's built up over the first 2 days where now people actually think they know what the movie's about. And they're starting to run with this idea, and they're hatching little, I almost feel like calling them plots, but they're hatching ideas and getting just, their energy's going through the roof, trying to keep up with their own thoughts and get a kind of a consensus from the 5 or 6 people that are listening to them, trying to remember whose scene it is, but feeling like they all want to do it themselves, but then, oh, no, it's his scene, but it doesn't matter because they've done their part or they're going to do their part tomorrow or whatever. It's just way out of control in a good way.
Yeah, but if it doesn't go the way he wants it to go and it goes in a different direction, then Drew's out the window. And he's got to, like, back off his script a little bit. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and this is the whole process.
Yeah,
you have to go with the flow and feel it. And Drew is forced to, whatever Mark does, Drew has to work off that. because that's the next scene that comes up.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're forced to.
You have to.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't be married to your script in this.
Like I was.
Yeah. Well, no, but in this particular way that we're filming. You know, we're shooting in 4 days.
Everybody's been working out story ideas. Without me, I've been kind of off on my own, and what I need to do now is get back in there with them, and I'm definitely going to go after the next scene, which I think revolves around before the switch with Finn, and what life is like before the switch for Mary, and then after the switch with Margaret and Finn together. I'm going to try to mold whatever I can around what they do next. It's kind of tough because, like I said, all morning I've been pacing around trying to figure out how I'm going to get this. And I don't know, hopefully it'll work out. I've got an idea, and Rick and I hashed it out, and I think it's going to work. But like I said, it's all contingent upon them, and I know they're kind of at me.
No, that's part of yours.
What about you? No, that scene you were talking about on the balcony.
Okay.
Do that scene with Mary.
Okay.
That's an opening
With just her
scene.
voice. With just her voice, and then she comes out.
Yeah. Have that part so we
Okay,
see Mary.
the only problem is once it's all after the switch. Once we show that Finn's got a problem with this, why does he come back to the house? If he has a problem with this, how do they? In other words, why does he make this approach again, this affectionate approach after the switch? What brings him back?
Well, first of all, I think what we're working on here is this is actually going to be somehow transformed from Craig's place to Finn's place.
That's cool.
By shooting this side instead of this side, and by not shooting the hallway or the stairs, or this whole side. We'll use the balcony and this side of this room.
And we've got a futon if we really wanted to. We then have a futon on the thing, just moves the furniture out.
Okay, let's not worry about those details. We need to get this.
Here, I got an idea for some dialogue for your scene or something like that. Finn comes in, when he puts his arms around her, he's holding her and he goes, "You feel different today. You know, I don't know what it is."
Something
like different?
Were you getting supported in there?
I was getting supported, but I didn't feel like they really heard me. But maybe they did, and I just was being weird. I don't know.
And how were you feeling when you didn't think you were being heard?
I kind of just felt a little rejected, and I came out here to talk to Finn to get more other input from another source, someone who might be a little more receptive than 5 people who had already hashed out things.
Marker. And
Action.
I think I understand your relationship with your sister better, and I know how important she is to you. But you have to know that I need you.
People kept telling me it looked great. I don't. You said you saw it. Looked all right. So I mean, it was really cool. I'd never worked with a crew, before, gotten to direct or anything. So it was neat having other people around doing things for you. All you had to do was just pay attention to what was going on and look through the camera a little bit. And I kind of a funny moment for everybody in the room. I think I told them. After the whole scene, we got through with the scene, and I'm waiting to say cut, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I say, and action. Or cut. I'm sorry. Wrong one. More. Do it again.
Now really do it.
That'll be funny.
Sound ready.
I mean, I guess the one thing I've really learned since I've never really done a workshop with 10 people, I've done one with 5, and I thought, boy, this is pushing the envelope here. I was really wondering, how can 10 really do it? I mean, just because I set this thing up didn't mean I knew it would really work. So I'm sort of as shocked as anyone else might be that it's working. And I think it will work through the editing. But just for the shooting, I really was trying for the last week before I came in here to visualize 10 people and me, and a crew of 8 or 10 more people and actors, like 25 people, going at it. So once again, I really didn't know it would work, and I believe it has. I'm kind of in shock.
This whole process has been just incredibly exciting for me, because what's happening is that I'm being forced to let go of a lot of things that limit me and get into the moment and use what's available, what's here for us to use, and use things we know about these characters or things we know about our own selves, and just throw it into the mix and see what happens. And so to me, this whole process is just tearing away the walls and the limitations that are usually there when you try to make film on that kind of usual formulaic type model. And this new model is just making things far more accessible to someone with limited means, and it's creating an environment where we can express things we normally wouldn't express in the other model.
I'm serious. We should do it. We should switch. And if they notice, and if he doesn't notice, I think you should dump him. Yeah, well, he doesn't notice. I think you should dump him.
Okay.
Well, I would dump him. I would dump him if he couldn't notice the difference between me and you. I would dump him.
Build it up into a big little finale there, so the audience is exactly understanding this thing.
Okay, all right.
You get it from your angle that you need to make them move out with.
Okay, speed. Marker.
And
Action. You always look so unhappy. You know, he never makes you happy. Doesn't seem like it. Well, I mean, what am I supposed to do? You know, well, for one, let me tell you about him. One, he smokes. You said you never liked him to smoke, so that's one thing about him. What makes you want to be with them? Why do you want to give it another try?
Cool right now.
Freeze. Okay, let's cut.
Right away, and we'll just go from this side now.
I love that.
So give her a couple things to lead off on and keep the mood. Put the camera right here and punch right into it. Make it pretty shorthand so we can keep the energy going. Keep on her.
And then attack Craig.
What about Craig? Craig isn't so hot. You told me that he doesn't even listen to you when you have something to say to him. He doesn't even pay attention to you. And then you also told me, remember when you told me that when you were talking to him, that if we changed places, he wouldn't even know the difference?
And if you can listen off in the distance, you'll hear an airplane. The bane of the sound man's life. If I could get rid of anything, it would be airplane noise.
Greg, if you never need to check your line, look at it. Okay? Oh, you're definitely fine there.
okay, here we go.
Wait, no.
So, Margaret? Margaret? Yeah, when you get in there, you know, you're going to be settled down, but then you're going to get the business because you know somebody's coming soon.
Okay.
Or maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, quiet please for a take. Roll sound.
Sounds B.
Barker.
And action.
Okay, here are some things I haven't told you about Craig. One, when I'm here, I was sleeping in my underwear.
Okay, here's some things when I tell you about Craig. Number one, I always sleep in my underwear.
Always?
Always.
He's just got through shaving his back. Things make it look sexy.
Okay, and he also likes to shave his back because he thinks it looks sexy. Yuck.
So don't say anything if you feel any stubble back there, it'll get cranky.
So don't say anything to feel any stubble back there because he'll get cranky. All right.
And don't mention nose hair. It always gets prissy if you ask him to pluck it.
And don't mention the nose hair because he'll get prissy if you ask him to pluck it. Yuck.
If he tries to rub his ear hair against your cheek, it's okay to slug him.
And if he tries to rub his ear hair against your cheek, just go ahead and slug him. Okay, I will. Okay.
Mary, anything else?
Anything else? No. Let's go. Let's find out what's in here. Okay. See what you got. Okay.
Wait, I don't wear this. This isn't my underwear. I don't wear that. You don't? No.
Well, never mind. The point is, we got to pull this off, and there can't be surprises.
Well, never mind. We gotta pull this off, and there can't be any surprises. So, go take that and.
Okay, I'll go back and I'll get something.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and do that. Let's get this stuff on. Hurry up! Okay. We don't got much time.
And cut, please.
We take on different roles, and we need to transcend certain roles as that certain people act as the leaders. There is always the visionary, there's the detail person, the worker bees. And in this aspect of shooting, we've all had to be able to wear many different hats and take on different roles. And I'm sure that during the editing process as well, that we'll see that the different levels of strengths and follow through and visionaries and detail people, and I'm looking forward to that aspect of the process and seeing how the group dynamics unfold.
Because we're here on the last day, we're almost out of time, we're almost out of actors, and we're almost out of film. So we have to budget all of those things. This morning, I was handed a list of what I think everybody participated in creating of what you guys want to do scene-wise for the day. Then Rick has a couple other things he wants to do also. I think we can do everything that's on both of these lists. It's going to be a little crazy to do it, but it's a little crazy to shoot a feature in 4 days when before this the fewest days I've ever shot one in is 12. So I'm amazed already, and from what I've seen, I think we can make it happen. The way it's got to happen though is that we all have to be conscious of our film budget and simply not go over it, because we don't want to screw over the people who are at the end of the day by not leaving them the film for what they want to do. So we have about 3 rolls left, 1,200 feet, and with that we can do everything on this list, but it's going to mean much more of a 1-to-1 shooting ratio, and it's going to mean me and Gary constantly keeping up to date on where we stand after each shot, and then for the next director, me saying, okay, you've got to do this scene in 100 feet, or you've got to do this scene in 200 feet, or whatever it is. And if we do that, then I think we can hit everything that everybody wants to do. That's assuming that this list is complete and nobody's going to come to me in half an hour and say, Brad, do you have the scene with the car flipping down the freeway, and then we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, there's always anxiety. You're always running high because you're in the creative process. So you're always buzzing every moment, and you think of ideas, but you can't really set your heart on one particular idea because someone can film something, because we have no script, so someone could film something and come up with a great concept within their scene, and that changes since I have the last scene. That forces me to rethink my scene. So I'm going with the moment, with the flow, and I'm just seeing where it's going to take me. So it's really taking me to that moment. And in the end will just be the logical conclusion of what came before. How did I find out about this workshop was that I was looking through the internet and I discovered Rick Schmidt's website, and I heard about the feature workshop, and I thought, that name sounds really familiar. Where do I know Rick Schmidt's name? And about 2 years ago, a friend of mine died of AIDS. And his lover brought me a box of books, of film books, because he knows I like films and everything. And I just never had time to look through them. And I heard Rick Schmidt's name on the internet and about his feature workshops. And something drove me to that box. I was like, why do I know that name? And I dug through all the books, and on the very bottom was Rick's book, How to Make a Film with Used Car Prices. And I couldn't believe it. And I felt like there was some kind of strange karma there. Like my friend was telling me, read this book and hook up with this guy. And I read the book, and I believed everything that Rick said in that book, and it was just awe-inspiring. And I felt like there was this divine intervention, like I have to get involved with Rick Schmidt and his workshop. So I thought it was very strange, that whole thing.
Is get a shot list and think about doing it in a 1-to-1 ratio.
Okay, that's jogging. I have a list of falling, joking, and
Right,
like
okay. So
laughing.
10-second shots, and that you can cut down to 10 5-second shots, and that'll be that kind of thing. So because we'll do it MLS.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we're dumping.
So we'll just slate it in series, and it's just like roll, cut. So okay, as long as you're in that mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I realize.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Pressure, man. Documentary department.
But like I said, there's so many ways we can end this, and it's really not decided till post. We go in the editing room, and you kind of just see what you have, because we really don't know what we have until we go and we see the rushes and stuff. So, I mean, I still lean toward them being alone, but we'll see what happens. And it's always for the good of the film. You do everything for the film and not for yourself, because the film comes first, and that's my opinion.
What's interesting in editing is everybody's going to have to pay for whatever they did. I mean, as a group, we have to pay for what we do and don't have. Each person's going to come into contact with their own footage, the cutaways, the master shot, whatever that is, the one-to-one shooting, and find they do have a scene of one sort or another.
And it seemed to be a process that was going to be difficult, really, to do by email. I mean, this is something that if we had extra time and money, maybe the 10 of us would have gotten together in a room for a week and talked about the story beforehand. But once you accept the fact that it's 10 people's ideas, 10 creative people's ideas thrown out. And I'm a pretty obsessive guy about detail and about preparation, but I just realized that now is not the time for this. And that for me right now maybe I'll change this when we finish and we have this finished product, and I'll be really proud of it. For me right now, the process and learning about the process and learning and believing in the feasibility of this process, that basically within limits anybody can make a film just by deciding to do it is the really important thing that I learned, and also that I like it. I mean, after all, I thought I would like it, but I guess it could have been something that I came out here and said, what is this jazz? It's just like, it's too much work, and you set up for 2 hours for 3 minutes. But so far it's really working. I mean, we're with the creative energy in this room with like 20 people who are really interested in doing this is really fantastic.
And out.
Are you seeing that shadow of blue there, though?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you're out there.
Can I be here?
Sure can.
Great.
Keep rolling. Quiet, we're rolling. Okay, and. Action.
Hi, Bob. Oh, hey, Finn. Sorry about being back here, but I can't find Skeeter. I went to the bakery, tied him up outside, went inside, took a look out, and he's gone. Have you seen him? Mary? 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 Oh, hi, Margaret.
I got an awful lot of support on set from the people who obviously, know what they're doing. I mean, the DP, Gary Rowan, is so courteous to a first-time director, and really a first-time director, squared, because I'm a first-time director who doesn't really even know what he's doing except by instinct. And he was like, look through the lens, and is that shot okay? How do you want the framing? This is good. What do you think about the lighting? And asking me all these questions, and so that was fabulous. And then I had Brad Marshland, our AD, just totally on the detail end of it and telling me what to do and basically educating me real time in the process while it was happening. And I had people gripping for me, and I mean all my colleagues that who I gripped for yesterday and today, and people were super patient because we were losing the light the last couple hours, and everybody was really patient trying to knock this all out, and it's just fabulous.
There's a lot of revelations after a few days of doing this, and one of the big ones for me is that when I usually write, or when anybody writes, you go through this process of where you're throwing out these ideas and these images, and there's not necessarily an order. However, you have this sort of faith that your subconscious is creating an order and creating the connections between these ideas. So to go on a movie with like 10 other people writing and directing, you're thinking there's no subconscious driving these ideas to a certain purpose. And the revelation for me is that lately I've been seeing that this is completely driving to a specific purpose, and this is completely connecting and being able to see these connections. And so now I'm really questioning my belief before and starting to realize that the connections aren't from my subconscious. My subconscious is not creating these connections. It's my consciousness after my subconscious has created these images, that the connections lie between everything. Like you could throw almost 20 different things together, shoot this bicycle, shoot me, shoot a documentary crew, totally random stuff, and there's still going to be a connection no matter what you do. So this is perfect.
Getting the 10 of us plus Rick to agree on a focus for this piece has been a really kind of a difficult, but it's a weird amorphous task that has just kind of forced everyone to tweak their scenes in certain ways and compromise a little here and flex a little there. And I've had to kind of, I'm going to be doing a scene out in the outside. We managed to get hold of a little bit more location, which would be ripe for a dinner scene involving the twins and their two suitors, and where the switch is revealed. And I've had to tighten up the everything in the scene in terms of amounts of angles and shots, so that the footage is used, minimum footage is used to the maximum.
Well, then I'll just say, Craig, then you go. Exactly. It's going to be a quick ending of a story, you know what I'm saying? When they say camera set at whatever, mark that at mark 2.
Bench like the whole year because I don't know, he raped some chick or something like that, But then, okay, he's benched, but then it comes to the bottom of the night this one inning, they decide not to bench him. Hits a dinger, gets in the manager's face and says, "Trade me." How about that? That's sports, you know what I'm saying? That's great. Let's eat. What are we getting? What do you want?
Why don't you ask Margaret? I think the main thing I shot for was to ask them what happened just prior to this scene, and what result did they want. And I think asking each director that, they were pretty clear about that. So I've worked on films where there's been one director who was a very powerful force and things did not go smoothly at all. So this, in some respects, considering how awful it could have been, has gone pretty well, I think. And for me, getting different people's input, ultimately it's going to be, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I don't think there's a lot of directors that are going to make me into something I'm not, they might push me a little bit further, but in this particular case, I think, I was told this is what's happened, this is what we want to see, and so far they seem to be pretty satisfied. It's been fun.
And looking towards next week, say Saturday, and looking towards editing, I'm kind of wondering what it's going to be like as far as the collaborative process. I mean, if you think these rooms have been small, trying to get 20 people in, I don't know how big the editing room is with one 13-inch monitor and one mouse.
The editing, no clue how this is going to go. I've heard about 13 different stories about how the Avid works. I have my own ideas too. I think I've got more of a grip on how it's going to go now, but I still don't know how 11 of us are going to sit down in front of one computer monitor and say, no, let's try this, and do it in 6 days. It'll be, you know, a couple fist fights probably or something.
It's scary now. There's something at stake. There was nothing at stake 3 days ago. You know, there was a premise that everyone's confused over because I couldn't tell them any more than they'd know when we all walked in on the set together. So it's strange to go through that, if nothing else, you know. Now there's something to lose.
Let's see, where to start? We have had all of our film transferred from 16 millimeter to Betacam SP. So that tape is actually playing right now on the Betacam SP deck. And the video and audio data is being fed directly into the CPU, which has an Avid software platform on it. So basically the computer is reading the digitized material and turning it into a digital language. That allows us to later come back to this scene, call it up in the computer, and do whatever we want with it. We can warp it, we can add it to something else, we can pull its audio tracks off, we can EQ it, we can do just about anything to it. And then we'll later dump it back out of the computer and then back into the Betacam SP deck from our sequence. That's basically how it works.
Really, one of those DNA.